Jesus is risen. Jesus is risen. We just heard each of the four Gospels' account of the day of resurrection. Can't imagine how difficult it must have been for the two Marys to wrap their heads and their minds around what they had just seen and what they were being told had happened. Have you ever been in one of those places where what you were seeing, what you were looking at, just wasn't computing with what you were actually seeing and what your mind was telling you you should be seeing? Maybe it was just a few weeks ago. Maybe you stepped out onto your back patio and you looked up at the night sky. And instead of seeing stars and light pollution, this giant stream of light shoots across this night sky. You grab your phone out of your pocket because, my goodness, this is unbelievable and no one's going to believe what you just saw. So you get your picture and you think if cameras were only around 2,000 years ago, maybe Mary would have a picture of this. But in that thought, you look back at the sky and the stream has started to make a figure similar to that of a DNA molecule. You rush to social media to post this unbelievable thing you just saw. Well, the Phoenix Lights Facebook and the subreddits are all already blowing up with other images of what people were seeing. For hours, mystery surrounds this light in the sky. But as puzzle pieces are sorted and put back together, it's clear that it's just a SpaceX space launch. Not so mysterious anymore. And really, not so out of the ordinary for us. But for those first few moments of you staring at the night sky, you might have felt a similar wonder for just those few moments. Similar to that fear and wonder that the two Marys must have felt when they approached the tomb and saw the stone rolled away. Now, there is a difference between the mystery of the night sky and the mystery of the empty tomb. For some reason, the technology and science behind sending a spaceship to space, having people live in space, visit space on tourism, having people return to Earth, mostly safely, is more believable to most of us than a stone rolled away. Of course it is. We've all lived this mystery of flight for our lifetimes. I don't think anyone was here when planes were invented. We've all seen planes in the sky, been in planes in the sky. Some of us have jumped out of planes in the sky for work and pleasure. And we've all seen the moon landing and heard Neil Armstrong say, that is one giant step for man, one. See, Christ is risen. I could play that game all day. But we have all bore witness, direct witness to the great mystery of flight. And many of us don't understand how flight works, but we accept that it does. Something to do with going really fast and creating drag that lifts the plane off the ground. I don't know. Ask someone else who's a lot smarter than me. But thankfully, we have people who are smarter than me, engineers and physicists who understand this. So I remind myself what I told my 85-year-old grandmother, who is now 93. Mama, don't worry about how the internet gets from the modem to your laptop on your lap. Just know that it does. I don't need to understand the physics behind flight to see what is possible. Humans in flight was not a concept until, well, as far as we know, the Wright brothers took flight for the first time in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. People said, no, you're crazy. That's not possible. But the Wright brothers didn't blame anyone for those dead comments and let them control that narrative. They went out and achieved anyway. I can't imagine how much trouble they had at their local bar that night in Kitty Hawk. Hey, y'all, we took flight today out on the dunes. We invented a machine that will carry us in the air. No, you didn't. That's impossible. You'll have to show us. But even with those dead comments, what the Wright brothers helped give birth to was the most advanced travel, the most advanced way to move goods across the world, and even engage in war. But they also ended the idea that humans were bound to the ground. This feeling that the Wright brothers must have felt with the deniers, what they knew was absolutely possible, even if the people they were telling did not believe them. The two Marys were the first witnesses to Jesus' resurrection. They knew it would be hard to explain, but they knew they had witnessed what they had witnessed. They were the first to realize what had happened, what this all meant. That just like the Wright brothers, whose first flight gave birth to the most technologically way to travel, so too did Jesus' resurrection give birth to the church. The resurrection of Jesus was the sign that Jesus' gospel was not done because he had died, but rather that the gospel will live, that Jesus' message, his ministry, his love does not die with his physical body. It ended the idea that humans were bound to death. Rather than attending to a dead body, the Marys attended to new life, sharing the news that death did not win, that hatred and jealousy, fear and death do not have the final say, but rather that love, forgiveness, compassion, and empathy win every single time, even when we think it hasn't, even when we think it's impossible. Easter and resurrection. This is the unbelievable. This resurrection is the mountain moved by faith. This life, this walk with Jesus, this body that we make up as the church, this is the resurrected body of Jesus. And that is good news for all of us to share and for all of us to embody. Go and share this new news with everyone, that Jesus is risen. Amen.